Okay, I finally got some time to sit down and talk about this one. I've been looking forward to having a little discussion with you all about this particular bit of industry bullshit. Funnily enough, we kicked off this week with a big video about liars in the game industry, and we mentioned Ubisoft in particular as the sort of crown prince of the dishonest. Ubisoft, of course, has a long track record of saying things that are basically horse shite, but a recent GameStop pre-order ad for Assassin's Creed Origins might have taken honesty in the extreme other direction. Here's the ad right now, in case you haven't seen it already. It says, "Sorry, the bonus mission is blocked unless you pre-order Assassin's Creed Origins." This ad has been appearing as animated banners on certain websites that shows a character sliding down a pyramid and then a camel's face popping up before we get that message. You know, just to really rub it in. Now, the sheer barefacedness of this commercial was such that many people believed it couldn't possibly have been real, but after many days of looking at it, it turns out that yes, this is the genuine article. In an industry of liars, concerning a publisher that's notorious for dodging the truth, like Square Enix dodges reasonable sales expectations, GameStop of all companies has been what some have considered a little too honest. Perhaps insultingly honest. Some people have found this a little bit offensive, a little bit outrageous. Personally, I'm just sorta gobsmacked at the brazenness of it. Almost impressed. A little bit. I mean, this mission is blocked unless you pre-order it. That's the first time I've seen a pre-order bonus presented as content quite literally being gated off. Rather than how, you know, companies would normally do this and say, it's an extra bonus. Here is this extra good thing you get for pre-ordering. GameStop's commercial, on the other hand, is a threat, more or less. It's basically saying, if you don't pre-order through us, here's some in-game content you should be expecting that you're not getting. It's not pre-order the game and get a bonus, it's, if you don't pre-order the game, you're not getting stuff. You're not getting the full experience, we've blocked this off. Phrasing is everything, huh? Especially in advertising. And after game companies go to such lengths, such extraneous lengths, to promise the community that no, we don't gate content off for launch day DLC and season passes and pre-order bonuses. Along comes the retailer, probably thickest with the game industry itself, essentially saying, nah, that's bollocks, mate. Now take a look at this content that we've blocked behind a pre-order paywall. We've talked about pre-order culture before. In fact, Ubisoft has come up many times in discussions about pre-order culture because when it comes to cloyingly, desperately, clawingly, which is different from cloyingly, trying to get you to pre-order games, Ubisoft's about as shameless as it gets. But yeah, pre-order culture is shitty. It's very undignified. It's quite embarrassing to look at when you see these publishers get on their hands and knees and do anything they can to get you to reserve the game, so they can claim they got that money in the bank. Personally, if I ever do pre-order things to try and get something pre-downloaded or whatever, I'll do it like a couple of hours before the game goes live so that they don't get to benefit from it. That's how I win. That's how I win that one! I won! This is what a winner looks like! People have theorised as to what it is GameStop means by this. Is it someone at GameStop just trying to make fun of pre-order culture? Is it simply a sign that the industry has become so shameless, so confident that it has your money already that it can insult you to your face and still reap the rewards? Well, I don't know about any of that, but I do know that recently GameStop's been taking a few potshots at yours truly on social media, both its Facebook and its Twitter account, like I mentioned on the Jimquisition earlier. And if you go to those threads and read them, then you tend to notice a certain defensiveness when it comes to some of these topics, especially topics that I bring up on the Jimquisition. Things like pre-orders and microtransactions, season passes, DLC, all of the stuff that gets used and abused in the industry. When some people have brought these talking points up on, say, their Facebook, GameStop's made no bones about how dumb it thinks that potential customer is. In fact, it has referred to questions regarding these topics as dumb questions, then of course goes on to defend the industry. It's worth noting that, however churlishly it was meant, GameStop's Facebook account did say that cheat codes were only free in the olden days because they didn't have a way to charge for them yet. Some startling honesty from the retailer, and it's that sort of honesty that's been carried through to this particular ad for Assassin's Creed Origins. One potential theory could be that of simple trolling, of GameStop thinking, you know, some people do complain about this stuff, let's lean into it and make fun of it. Not actually making fun of the game industry, but making fun of the people who get pissed off at the game industry, like myself and of course many of you who watch these videos. That's a fun thought, but if you look at it Occam's razor style, the simplest, most obvious motive is the same motive that drives those commercials on TV that say, order now while stocks last, you can only phone in the next hour, or this offer is gone forever, no matter how many times that commercial seems to air on the fucking TV. It's likely not a tongue-in-cheek show of honesty, it's likely not trolling of any kind, it's likely not a disgruntled writer trying to dig it to Ubisoft. It's scare tactics, it's manipulation, it's marketing, pure and simple, Occam style. To you or I, this could look potentially outrageous. To you or I, this could look like it has a deep meaning, but this commercial isn't for you or I. We're the people who've already decided whether or not we're buying something right now. This is for the average customer. The average punter, the average person who doesn't think about what a wasteland state the AAA video game industry's fucking in. The people who don't care, and more power to them. I fucking envy them their ability to play Shadow of War and not feel like the loot box system has dragged everything down. Who can play these $60 games with microtransactions thrust into them and not see how the economy and the way the game works has been mutated and warped to try and pummel the player into handing over more dosh. To some of you watching, this ad looks distasteful. This ad may look discouraging. To an average punter, there's a chance that this looks scary, because it's like, shit, I love Assassin's Creed, it's one of the few games I buy a year. I want as much of it as possible, I better pre-order now. To those who've been asking what the fuck were they thinking, that's probably what they were thinking. Of course, this is still just conjecture on my part, as it has been on many parts, but I do think it's the simplest and therefore the most likely situation. I mean, ultimately, I'm just discussing Marketing 101 here. This is nothing revolutionary, but there's been so much speculation, so much talk about it that we really should just bring it back to basics. GameStop certainly recently demonstrated to me that it has no compunctions about laughing at and disregarding people who are skeptical and distrustful of the AAA video game industry. Judging by some of their snippy responses to people, I'd say they really don't give a shit about the kind of people who watch videos like this. At best, they don't give a fuck. At worst, we're really starting to irritate them. Some of those responses do look quite saltsome. At any rate, it is a form of honesty. It is a form of the game industry showing its true face under the mask, which, let's be honest, has never been a particularly convincing mask to begin with. With this ad, GameStop has made it quite clear how it, as a representative of the game industry, views pre-order bonuses. They're not bonuses. These quote-unquote bonuses are content that's been held to ransom so that the audience has to go out of its way to pre-order something which ultimately only benefits the companies doing the strong-arming. And if nothing else, I'd like to personally thank GameStop for being so honest, so upfront with us, and finally admitting what we all fucking knew. Given the general spottiness and unreliability of the Assassin's Creed series, it's not much of a threat to me if you're gonna tell me that I won't get more of it. But I'm interested to see if this is a one-off or if this is gonna be a new part of pre-order culture in a larger scale. Not just using pre-order bonuses for companies to appear generous, but adopting the tactics of made-for-TV product commercials and subtly threatening the customer base with a loss of value if they don't act now. Whatever happens, you can guarantee that GameStop will hold absolutely 100% true to its slogan of power to the players. Not the players of video games, of course. I'm talking about the players of, well, us. Video game corporations, publishers. They're the real players. And that is, of course, where the real power lies. Funnily enough, just from a personal standpoint, Assassin's Creed Origins looked quite promising. I was actually quite into that one. I'm looking forward to checking it out. Despite my opinions of the games going up and down, I did like Syndicate, and I did appreciate that they took a year out last year so that shitty movie could happen. So there's more development time behind this one, and hearing about them making improvements to certain game mechanics, I'm on board with that. But it just goes to show that increasingly you can't have a AAA game come out with at least some sort of bollocks happening around it, even if it's small, relatively funny, stupid bollocks like this. Which is bad for the increasingly worrying state of AAA video games, but is, I suppose, good for me, because it means I can continue to make content. Content that, in my case, hasn't been locked off.